snowing and blowing and bushes of fun. Now the jingle hop has begun. Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell rock. Jingle bells time and jingle bells rock. Dancing and prancing in Jingle Bell Square. In the frosty air, what a bright time. It's the right time to rock the night away. Jingle bell time is a swell time. We go on riding in a one-horse sleigh. Giddy up, jingle horns, pick up your feet. Jingle around the block. Mix and a mingle and a jingling beat. That's the Jingle Bell Ride. Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell rock. Jingle bells swing and jingle bells ring. Snowing and blowing and bushes of fun. Now the jingle hop has begun. Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell rock. Jingle bells swing and jingle bells ring. Snowing and blowing and bushes of fun. Now the jingle hop has begun. Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell rock. Jingle bells time and jingle bells rock. Dancing and prancing in Jingle Bell Square. In the frosty air, what a bright time. It's the right time to rock the night away. Jingle bell time is a swell time to go riding in a one-horse sleigh. Giddy up, jingle horse, pick up your feet. Jingle around the clock. Mix and a mingle and a jingling beat. That's the jingle bell, that's the jingle bell, that's the Jingle Bell Rock. Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell rock. Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell rock. Good morning, welcome to Active Church. Let's all stand together as we begin to worship God this morning. Come on, put your hands together with us.
On Church. How's everyone feeling today? Awesome. Hey, we're so glad that you joined us this morning here at Active Church. It's a special Sunday. And if you're new here to Active Church, we have a red card in the back of our seats that we would love for you to fill out. Fill out as much information as you would like, and then turn into our guest central kiosk out in the lobby through those double doors at the end of service for a free gift.
Hey everybody, and we are so excited. We are entering into the Christmas season. Who's ready for Christmas? Yeah! Hey, well, not this Tuesday, but next Tuesday, December 12th, we are going to be having a big party here at 6:30 on a Tuesday night called Cider and Carols. We're going to be having Lee Cider here. We're going to be having some Christmas songs, and we're going to be having a big, fun family event. Invite your friends, invite your family. There's cards inside the lobby, and we would love to see everybody there for Cider and Carols on December 12th.
Yes, I love me some apple cider from Claus. It's so good. So, today, like I said, is a special Sunday. It is Baptism Sunday, y'all. Yes, we're gonna be excited. It's an awesome, awesome Sunday. We got our jacuzzis all filled up and ready for people to get baptized today. In the last 3.5 years, we've had 574 people get baptized here at Active Church. And today we're praying that we reach that 600 number. And I know that's just a number, but to us, it's important. Because every number has a name, every name has a story, and every story belongs to God here at Active Church. And so we're praying for that 600 number here today. And if you're someone that's gonna get baptized, I'm so excited for you. But today is an opportunity for anybody to get baptized. So if you're feeling that tug, make sure you guys take that call as Mike calls it and come to get baptized with us.
Yes, towards the end of our service, you're going to have that opportunity to do so, to be baptized today. So is my prayer, is our hope that today you're just mulling that over in the back of your head. But hey, we want to welcome you here at Active Church. We want to have some fun today, and I want to invite you to look to the front, look to the back, look to the left, and look to the right. And let's greet somebody around us with a handshake, hug, or a high five. And again, welcome to Active Church.
Angels we have heard on high, sweetly singing o'er the plain, and the mountains in reply, echoing the joy.
Put your hands together.
Shepherds, why this jubilee? Riot, joyous strains prolong. What the gladsome tidings be, which inspire every song.
the king of my heart be the mountain where I run, the fountain I drink from. Oh, here's my song. Let the king of my heart be the shadow where I hide, the ransom for my life. Oh, here's my song. And you are good, good. Oh, you are good, good. Oh, and you are good, good. Oh, you are good, good. Oh, and let the king of my heart be the wind inside my sails, the anchor in the waves. Oh, he is my song. And let the king of my heart be the fire inside my veins, the echo of my days. Oh, he is my song. And you are good, good. Oh, you are good, good. Oh, you are good, good. Oh, you are good, good.
You're never gonna let me down. You're never gonna let. Come on, make this your prayer. You're never gonna let. Sing louder.
Never gonna let me down.
You're never gonna let. You're never gonna let me down. You're never gonna let. You're never gonna let me down. You're never gonna let. You're never gonna let me down. You're never gonna let. You're never gonna let me down. You're never gonna let. You're never gonna let me down. You are good, good. Oh, 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 you are good. You're never gonna let. You're never gonna let me down. You're never gonna let. You're never gonna let me down. You're never gonna let me down. You're never gonna let. You're never gonna let me down. You'll never let me down.
And when the night is holding on to me, God is holding
Come on, let's
on.
declare that this morning for the night.
And when the night is holding on to me, God is holding on.
All right, everyone, we're going to continue our service. You would have a seat and point your attention to the screen.
What's up, guys? My name's Megan.
And I'm Joe. We want to thank you today for joining us in service and online too.
If this is your first time at Active Church, we want to give you a free gift today. How cool is that?
That's pretty legit. Grab a first-time guest card today and take it to the guest info kiosk located in our lobby, and we want to hook you up with some Active Church merch.
Also located in your seat backs is our Tithe Challenge cards and baptism cards.
Baptism Sunday is today, and we're so excited for those who are being baptized. And hey, if you want to make that decision, you're going to have the opportunity to do so at the end of our service.
We've got some more opportunities to share with you, so check it out. Baptism Sunday is here, and we are so excited to share this day with you.
We hope that you're thinking about taking that step in your faith. Today would be that day for you.
This is a public declaration of your faith and something that we celebrate like crazy here at Active Church.
Yes, we love Baptism Sunday. We love baptisms. There'll be an open call at the end of our service today, and anyone can make this decision. But if you have more questions, feel free to talk to one of our pastors or our activators for more info on what it means to get baptized.
Also happening today after a 10:45 service is our first step.
Yes.
Here's Pastor Mike to tell you more about it.
Hey, my name's Mike. I'm one of the pastors at Active Church, and we want to invite you to First Step. First Step is a free lunch with free childcare and an opportunity to learn about Active Church. We have a unique DNA, and we want you to hear about it, we want you to know about it, and we would love for you to be a part of Active Church. And First Step is the best way to get involved. Join us for lunch, for childcare, and for an opportunity to hear the great story of what God is doing at Active Church.
Last but definitely not least, we have some exciting Christmas Eve services planned for you.
This year, Christmas Eve falls on a Sunday, and our service times will be as follows.
Sunday morning at 9 a.m. and 10:45, as well as Sunday evening at 4 p.m. and 7 p.m.
Once again, that's Sunday morning at 9 a.m. and 10:45 a.m., as well as Sunday evening at 4 p.m. and 7 p.m.
If you've experienced Christmas Eve services at Active, you know we go all out with guest performers, special elements, dance, hip hop, and so much more.
We know friends, families, and neighbors are looking for somewhere to go for Christmas, so take advantage of this awesome invite opportunity.
Grab some invite cards today, and let's reach out to our community during this holiday season.
We will see you all Sunday, December 24th. That's Christmas Eve.
You gonna be there?
Oh, I'll be there.
9 a.m., 10:45 a.m., as well as evening services 4 p.m. and 7 p.m.
That's all for announcements today. Right now, we continue our worship through a time we call communion.
Our leaders are coming forward, and you're going to receive a cracker and a cup of juice. If this is your first time in a setting like this, please don't feel pressured to take communion this morning.
For the rest of you, remember that we take communion to recognize Jesus' sacrifice and love for us.
Feel free to participate by taking communion as soon as you receive the bread and the juice.
When you are finished, you can find a cup holder near the seat back in front of you. Go ahead and place your empty cup in there.
And thanks for being with us today. Our service will continue. Stop there. It didn't just start there. It was possible because of hundreds and hundreds of people who threw their time, their talent, their energy, and their resources into making this event happen. We connected with over 700 people at Ukaipa's Winterfest who had no clue this church existed, had no clue that there were things possible for families to come together and have an awesome experience. They didn't know that there was a community of people here that were willing to meet them in their moments and give them a night to remember.
Active Church, it was such an amazing event. If you were there, you know the energy that was there, the fun that was had, and that was all completely free. We didn't charge anyone. It was just completely free. They can come, have fun with their families. We give them free popcorn, free cookies, and they just got to enjoy time with their family, watching Moana and singing along with each other. And that's because of your generosity, Active Church. So right now, I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart, because we've done this twice now, and it's been amazing both times, and that's because of your generosity. So thank you, Active Church.
Your generosity is changing the face of Ukaipa, and it's because of the people in this room. So hey, we want to keep this generosity going, and we have a lot more things coming up. We have a lot more events planned, and we have a lot more people in Ukaipa who need to know about what is happening here at Active Church. So we want to give you 3 ways to be generous today. The first way is in person. Our leaders are going to be coming forward right now, and you can give as a bucket passes by. Also, in the lobby, there's a kiosk that you can go and you can give there. And if you're online today, or if you feel comfortable giving online, you can go to our Active Church's website and give there. But let our generosity be a chance to respond. Let our generosity be a way that we move Jesus forward. Let our generosity be a way that we provide hope. And Active Church, let's keep it up. Let's keep doing all the big things that God has set us on to do.
Good morning, Active Church. How are you? It is great to be with you this morning. Hey, my name is Mike. I'm one of the pastors here, and today is an incredible day. And if you haven't heard the 4 times that we told you about it, let me tell you one more time that it's Baptism Sunday today. I'm so excited about that. And we have people over the last 3.5 years that have crossed the line of faith, that have made decisions, that have seen life change. And we have people that are signed up for that today, but we also know, as we've done these Baptism Sundays, we also know that there are people who show up and aren't expecting to get baptized. They look good, their hair looks good, their makeup is perfect. And then something happens, and you might be that person today. And so we're praying for you, we're excited for you, and we're ready to receive you and celebrate you. And the water is so warm. It is so warm. And it's not like the rivers in like Israel. It's like really, really warm. So I'm thankful for our team, but we're excited about Baptism Sunday. We're launching a series today called Making the Most of Christmas. So what a great way to start Christmas and the Christmas season off than with Baptism Sunday. And true confession time, I am a Christmas fanatic. I really am a Christmas fanatic. And I want you to know, I'm the guy that probably makes you mad because I decorate around July. We play Christmas music in my house before the Bible says that you can. It's not really in the Bible, but some of us are like, thou shalt not play Christmas music until thy turkey is gone, right? Some of you are just like that. That's who you are. And the other day, my daughter was doing homework in her room, and she had Christmas music blaring, and I stood outside of the room and I wept and said, I am a good father. I am such a good dad. I am excited about this season. I'm always excited about this season, and I love Christmas time. But I'm also aware that some of us don't have that perspective. That some of us are kind of like Charlie Brown with his tree, right? And we want it to be good, but we're moving into this season, and maybe this season's gonna be different for you. Maybe this season's gonna be painful for you. Maybe there's some loss that you experienced during this season, then you just get reminded of it. Or maybe relationships have changed, and now you're moving into this season and it's gonna be totally different. Yesterday was the 2-year anniversary of the terrorist attack in San Bernardino. Can you believe it's been 2 years? And I know that those families had a different Christmas, and they will for the rest of their lives. And so my heart is excited for this season, but my heart is also aware and heavy for those that I love, those that I'm connected with, because I know that this season could be difficult for some of us. And so when we talk about this season, we want to be excited about it, but it's just hard to shift, isn't it? And so over the next couple of weeks, we want to talk about what it means for all of us to make the most of Christmas. And Christmas brings 4 particular things. Christmas brings an invitation to believe. You'll hear that word often in churches, in culture. You'll hear the word believe often. And so we want to talk about what it means to believe during this season. Christmas also brings time with loved ones. And many of us are like, do we really have to talk about that? But it does bring time with loved ones, and we have people that we're going to be spending time with that we really truly love, and those that we may have struggles with, but we want to love and we want to have a greater relationship with them. Christmas brings a season of giving. There's an uptick during this time in giving, isn't there? Even if you haven't given all year long, you at least give a gift on Christmas Day, and Christmas brings an offer of hope. And hope is what keeps us alive. It's like oxygen in our lungs. And so over the next couple weeks leading up to Christmas, we're going to talk about what Christmas brings. And today, I want to talk about that invitation to believe. Belief gets connected to a lot of things, doesn't it? It gets connected to a lot of things. And what I've discovered about belief and the very definition of belief is that belief in something will lead to something. Your actions tell other people what you believe in. You believed that the chair was going to hold you up today. You know how I know? You sat down. You believed that the building was going to hold its structure when you walked in. You know how I know? You walked in. And you believed that you were going to at least have some good coffee this morning. You know how I know? Because you got good coffee, hopefully, right? We like good coffee. The truth is that our actions tell us what we believe in. And when we say that we believe in something, if there's no action, then we really don't believe in it. It's just a great idea. And this season brings 3 major beliefs, doesn't it? The first belief is Santa. Santa is a major belief during this time, right? The belief that some really well-fed guy, jolly, wears a red suit, is invited to break and enter into our homes, and we reward him with cookies and milk. But you know that belief leads to a magical moment Christmas morning, especially if you have little ones around, doesn't it? To see the cookies half eaten and the milk half gone, and to see the presents under the tree, man, you wouldn't trade that. We busted out home movies the other night in our family, and it was from 2012 when my kids were much shorter and much younger. And there was one of my youngest daughter, Riley, who was 4 at the time, who came out, and her face just lit up. She had these chipmunk cheeks, and she just said, Santa was here. And it melted my heart to watch it all over again. That was worth that belief, right? Or how about the belief of Elf on the Shelf? You know what's funny is that when you laughed, I felt some of the anger underneath that laugh for some of you. Elf on the Shelf is a belief that we allow some elf in our home to completely mess it up in the middle of the night so that we can have really great Instagram pictures in the morning. I think Elf on a Shelf is more for us than it is for our kids. Can I get an amen? We're like, look at Instagram, here's my elf, and so I just think that we like showing that off. But there's nothing like that belief, whether you do it in your house or you do it at school, because the look of shock and awe and surprise on the faces of the kids is just worth it, isn't it? It's fun. It's a fun moment for us. It's a fun season of belief. And the third major belief that is talked about during Christmas time is of a woman who carried a child. And she got this child miraculously because she was a virgin. And this child is no ordinary person. This child is God in the flesh, and he's the Savior of the world. And this belief leads us to Jesus. This belief can change our life. And so belief in something will lead you to something, doesn't it? Belief in something will lead you to something. Now, the first two beliefs are easy to believe in, if you know what I'm talking about. And I know that there's little listening ears in the room, so I'll be careful with my next words, okay? But belief in the first two things is easy because it's something we can create, if you're picking up what I'm putting down. All right? It's something that we can manipulate, if you're picking up what I'm putting down. It's easy, and it's for a time, isn't it? It's just a short period of time that we can believe in that, and then for the next 11 months, it's been put away. We put it in the garage, and we lock it up, right? But it's that third belief, the one about a woman who has a child that is the Son of God, who's Jesus. That one, that's not one that you can lock up. We try, but that's not one you can put aside. And I know in a room this size and those that are watching online, I understand that not every one of us would walk around calling ourselves followers of God, followers of Jesus, Christians. I understand that. And that's why I love this place, because there's space to process. There's room for you to engage. And that we're a church that isn't just filled with Christians, we're a church filled with people curious and searching after God. That's why one of our pillars here at Active Church is pursue God, because we believe that you can pursue God wherever you're at. Even the greatest atheist can take a step towards God. And maybe there are some of you in the room or watching online, maybe there are some of you. You have very valid reasons as to why you don't believe in Jesus. Let's call them obstacles. It's the big giant brick in the middle of the road for you. And those reasons are valid. Maybe your reason is the Bible. You just struggle with the Bible and the stories that are in it and how you can live in those stories today, because you look at the Bible as this ancient book that has some good things, but you're not quite sure that it has life-changing things. Or maybe for you, it's the miracles in the Bible. Maybe that gets in the way. Maybe you're not sure how water can get turned into wine. You'd like to figure that out, but you're not sure how water can get turned into wine. Or maybe for you, it's just other Christians. In fact, that's one of the major reasons why people struggle with God, is because of other Christians. And we'd like to think that we're not in that category, right? Those of us that call ourselves Christians, we'd like to think that they're not talking about us. But maybe they are. And maybe these are reasons why you struggle with this belief. This is your obstacle. This gets in the way. And you come to a place like this and you have all sorts of questions and you want all sorts of answers. And they're valid. And there's room for you here. There's a space for you here. You belong here. But you know what I've discovered? Been in ministry now for over 16 years, and I'm only 21 years old. You do the math. But I've been in ministry for 16 years, here at Active Church for 16 years. I grew up in the church at the age of 8, came to know Jesus and was baptized. And so being around the church and doing ministry for 16 years, the thing that I've noticed is this, is that information doesn't lead you to Jesus. More information doesn't lead you to Jesus. You know what I've discovered, and I wouldn't say it's universally true for everybody, and you might be the anomaly, and that might be who you are, and that's great. But for the most part, what I have found is that those people that have crossed the line of faith, that said, today is my day, what I've found is that they didn't get their questions answered, but that the obstacles of faith shrunk in light of a big, great God. And it maybe started because their spouse was going to church and they were encouraged to read the stories of Jesus, and so they invited their spouse that didn't believe to maybe engage with the stories of Jesus. And as they read, they began to go, I really like this Jesus guy. I really like what he's about. In fact, it was Gandhi that said, I love Jesus. I don't like the Christians, but I love Jesus. And maybe many of us would fall into that category. Maybe it's because you started to pray. Maybe it's because you started to interact with people who said that they were Christians and it was completely different than what you expected. That's one of the compliments that we receive here at Active Church, is that there's a space of love, no matter where you come from. That we have the best greeters and the best ushers and the best welcomers here at this church, because there are people who truly love Jesus. And one of the best compliments we receive is that I just felt like they were expecting me. Isn't that a great line, by the way? They were expecting me. They were aware that I was there, and maybe that shifted for you. Maybe it was something that happened in church or something that happened in your home. Or maybe it was a really powerful thing. Maybe it was because the diagnosis was awful and you just didn't know where else to turn. And isn't it true that in moments where we don't know what else to do, we just turn to God? Even Christians do that. But we find ourselves going, I don't know what else to do here, so maybe I just should pray. Maybe I should just go to church. Maybe I should just talk with God. Maybe I could talk with those friends that are Christians. And in each instance, suddenly, God isn't a category. He's personal. And all of the obstacles start to shrink in light of who God is. And it doesn't mean that you're just ignoring it. It doesn't mean that you're pretending it's not there. But something happened to where you were able to cross the line of faith, and today was your day, because nothing else made sense except for a great God who loves you greatly. Adults become Christians not because they get all of their questions answered. Adults become Christians because Christianity is personal, because God took your sin personally. And that's why we make decisions, and that's why we choose to believe. Now, I realize that some of you in the room might be having an inner dialogue with me, and you'll want to talk afterwards. And so let's just talk right now, okay? You might be thinking, that might be true for some people, Mike, but if you're inviting me, and if you're saying, as a believer in God, as a Christian, I have to intellectually turn off my brain in order to cross the line and have today be my day, then I am just not going to do that. My obstacles are not going to shrink. These are valid points that I have, and I would affirm that. But what I would also say to you, what I would argue with you, is that you're already doing that in your life. You just might not be aware of it. And so if you'll give me a moment, I want to show you. And so I want to pick on the guys for a moment. Can I pick on the guys in the room for a moment? I'm a married man, and I would never pick on the girls because I just know better, all right? And so I want to pick on the guys for a moment. Guys, those of you that are dating, engaged, married, in some committed relationship, go back to before you made the decision to get into that relationship. Do you remember that time? Do you remember what that was like? Maybe you have a lot of valid obstacles to why you were not going to get into a committed relationship. I'm going to put a few up on the screen, and maybe this is why you didn't get into a relationship. Maybe you just said, I really like my freedom. I like being able to do whatever I want to be able to do whenever I want to be able to do it. I just really like that. Or maybe the commitment thing just seemed really heavy and you didn't want to enter into a relationship and put the word commitment over it. And so you were like, that's an obstacle and I'm just not sure about that. Or maybe it was a money thing and you said to yourself, I don't even have enough money to buy all the things that I want, let alone all the things that we'll need together. Or maybe for you, it was other married people you know, other people in committed relationships. You're like, if it means that I got to be miserable like them, I don't want to enter into a relationship. Maybe you would say that you're too young, or she's too young, or he's too young, or whatever. Or maybe for you, it's what if I meet them? Like, what if I gave her the ring, and then I turned my head and I went, man, I wish I could give her the ring. What if I'm at the reception, and the caterer walks in, and I was like, she pretty. You know what I mean? Like, these are the ridiculous thoughts that we have when it comes to the obstacles that we have to enter into relationship. So guys, because I want to pick on you. And ladies, you can play along if you'd like, but guys, I want to pick on you. Here's my question to you. How many of these things did you thoroughly work through before you entered into your relationship? The answer is none. And maybe you actually, what you did is you started to think about your list and you started to make excuses for your list. Or in other words, you started to shrink your list. Maybe you went over the list. We'll show you again. Maybe you went over the list. You're like, freedom, it's overrated. I don't really need my freedom. Maybe I'll just have my designated chair in the living room. That's what I'll have. I'll have my designated chair. In our house, I have my designated trail mix hidden in the back of the cupboard because my daughter eats it all the time. That's what I have. That's in my house. Pray for me. I know I'm pathetic, but that's what I have. Maybe for you, you're like, commitment's kind of a struggle for me, but nothing's certain, and so I'm gonna take a risk here. Maybe money. Maybe you're like, I'm gonna save and save and save and save and save and maybe try to save some more and then realize that that's probably not gonna happen because I'm never gonna have enough money, and so I'm just gonna enter into this thing. Or maybe you'll just surround yourself with all the people that you know that have great relationships, and if they don't, you'll tell them to pretend so that you can have other people that you're connected with that are married. You can just pretend that everything's great. Or maybe you're like, young's kind of a ambiguous term, and we're just gonna enter in. And then what if I meet somebody? I'll just pluck my eyes out so that I don't know anybody and meet anybody, right? What were you doing in that moment? You were shrinking your obstacles because suddenly marriage went from a category to somebody, didn't it? Suddenly marriage went from this idea to, ooh, she pretty. And all of a sudden, everything changed for you. And you might ask the question, why? And I think the answer is very obvious. I'm kidding. Move on to the next one. Now, listen, don't text me later and say, my kids were in the room and you said, I'll tell you this, I didn't say it, I just pointed at it, all right? What happened was you fell in love, right? You fell in love. And suddenly, marriage went from a category to, I want to be with them. They're somebody. I want to do whatever it takes. I want to be in relationship with them. And the obstacles shrunk, and you crossed the line of relationship. See, we're already doing this. But for some reason, we put God in a completely different category, and that might be the problem, is that we put him into a category instead of seeing God as personal, because the invitation to believe is a personal invitation to you. Because God cares deeply about you. And I know this because there's this story, a true life story, where Jesus interacts with someone that had a lot of obstacles. And as they began to interact, you can watch, just hear in the voices, hear in the language, hear in the actions, how the obstacles, they shrink. Jesus is looking for followers. He's gathering his 12 disciples, the followers of Jesus. And he had more people that followed him, but he had 12 that he was really close with. And then there were 3 specific that he spent a lot of time with. And one of those followers, his name was John, and he wrote down his experiences with Jesus. And he opens up his letter with a story about how Jesus interacts with someone whose obstacles are valid. And Jesus has a conversation, and you just watch them starting to shrink. And here's how the story goes. In John chapter 1, starting in verse 43, you can read these up on the screen. The next day, Jesus decided to leave for Galilee. And finding Philip, he said to him, "Follow me." And so Philip, like Andrew and Peter, who were other followers of Jesus, they were brothers. They were all from the town of Bethsaida. And here's where the story gets great, okay? Philip found Nathanael and told him, "We have found the one Moses wrote about in the law, and about whom the prophets also wrote about. So Philip's a good Jewish boy, and all of the people that he's connected with are good Jewish boys. And they know the Hebrew scriptures well, particularly the books of the law, which are Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. And in those stories is a promise from God that a Redeemer is going to come, that a Savior of the world is going to show up, and he's going to rescue and save us. And we call him the Messiah. And so Philip walks upon Nathanael and goes, Nathanael, you'll never guess, we found him. We found him. He was sitting at In-N-Out, and we walked up to him, and we were having a meal with him. We found the one that we've been looking for. The Messiah is here. He is the great Almighty God. He is here. And oh my gosh, you just got to meet this guy. And then he introduces this guy this way. He says, his name is Jesus of Nazareth, son of Joseph. And Philip was probably like, oh, Christmas morning, right? And Nathanael hears this and he responds in verse 46 this way. Nazareth? Can anything good come from Nazareth? And you know Philip probably went, oh, I shouldn't have mentioned the Nazareth thing. Oh, I probably should have just said Jesus and In-N-Out, and he would have, maybe In-N-Out and then Jesus, and then he would have come. Dang it. But there it is, the obstacle, right? There's the obstacle. We're not sure why Nazareth had a bad reputation. Maybe it's hard for people with lisp to say it, and that's why they didn't like the town. I'm not sure. But we're not sure why it had a bad reputation. Theologians tell us that it was kind of like the podunk city. It didn't have a great rep, but there isn't really a reason why. Those of you that live in this community, you know that we've had to fight that at some points, haven't we? We live in Yucapa, right? We live in Yucapa. Here we are. Imagine for a moment that the cure for cancer has been found. And you know that Yucaipa is not like a city like Los Angeles, New York, or Paris, right? People don't make vacation plans to come and see the sights of Yucaipa. No, seriously. There's like 3 roundabouts. It'll be awesome. We'll go and check it out. We'll make a day of it. It'll be awesome. And it'll be fun, right? And then we'll drive on down to like American Road Trip. It's this authentic place. It tastes like roadkill. It's awesome. It'll be so... It doesn't happen. You make plans to go to LA and walk the streets in Hollywood. You make plans to go to New York and go to Rockefeller Center or go to downtown, right? You make plans to go to Paris and see all the sights there. And so imagine that somebody says, we found the cure to cancer. And everybody's like, well, how's it work? Well, it's a drink, and then in 24 hours, your cancer's gone. You've got to be kidding me. Where is this place? Yucaipa? Excuse me? That's like saying that you live in like Zizix. You ever gone through Zizix? Like, I think somebody was just bored and trying to see how many Z's they can get in the name of a city. You're from where? And you know when you explain, if you're from this community, you explain like, where are you from? We're on the outskirts of LA. We're about 45 minutes from Palm Springs. You know, that's how you explain where we're from. And so this is the obstacle that Nathanael has. And Philip doesn't engage his obstacle and engage his questions. Philip does something that is really quite brilliant. Philip responds with 3 words. He says, come and see. Come and see. Come and be a part of this. Come and meet him. And let's just have a conversation. Because I think that that'll change your perspective. It'll move it from a category to personal. I can guarantee you. And so the next verse, in verse 47, John writes this, that when Jesus saw Nathanael approaching, he said of him, here is a true Israelite in whom there is nothing false. And that phrase literally means this. This guy's going to tell you like it is. This guy's an intelligent guy. This guy sees it and calls it out and does it in a gracious way, but he sees it and calls it out. He's intelligent, he's smart. And what you need to know is that the writers of the Bible, and Jesus particularly, invite intelligence into the conversation. It doesn't tell you to shut it off. Faith is not the lack of intelligence. Faith is using the intelligence that you've been gifted and engaging the God that loves you. And often we think that it's to turn off our brain, to shut off our brain. I think some of the most miserable people who suffer the most are those that are deeply intelligent and are told, well, you just got to have faith. I have a friend of mine who's done philosophy for years who said that the more that I know, the less I know. And sometimes when you're deeply intelligent and you know a lot, you almost feel kind of in a fog and you almost feel kind of lost. And maybe Nathanael felt that way. And so Jesus sees him coming and he's like, here is a true Israelite. There is nothing false in him. And Nathanael asks the most important question in verse 48. He says, wait. How do you know me? We've never met. And there's not Facebook where you could stalk me. How do you know me? And Jesus responds this way. I saw you. I know what you're about. I'm aware of you, Nathanael. I'm proud of you. You're unique. You're intelligent. You're gifted. You're a smart guy. Oh, and by the way, while you were sitting under a fig tree before Philip called you, I saw you. I saw you there. It just got personal, didn't it? It just got personal. And maybe it was as quiet as it was right now. And so Nathanael, as it got personal, engages Jesus and he says this. So Jesus, let's talk about the Nazareth thing. Now, if you're familiar with the Bible, you know that that's not what he said. That's what we think that we would say. That's what we think that we need before we cross the line of faith, and today is going to be our day. Well, let's talk about all the questions that I have. I need all the answers. That's not what happened at all. Nathanael responds this way. Then Nathanael declared, Rabbi, which means teacher, you are what? The Son of God. You are what? The King of Israel. What just happened? He had valid obstacles. And they shrunk. Because he interacted with a personal God. And maybe for you, you have valid obstacles. Maybe your obstacles will look like this list. Some of the things that I've already mentioned. And you might go through that list and you might say, well, what about this? And how about that? And what do I do with this? And how do I interact with that? And let's be honest. For some of us, those obstacles are just a smoke screen, aren't they? They're just a distraction, because we know that if we interact with this Jesus, we know that something will change, and we're not sure we're wanting that. And so that engagement, that belief, we understand that it leads to something, and we're just not sure that that's what we want. We're not sure that that's who we want to be. And so we have all of these obstacles. But what I want you to know, and what God would ultimately want us to know, is that the obstacles are valid. But in light of who he is, they shrink, because he is a God who first moved on our behalf and who first loved us. And that is why he wants to have a relationship with us. Imagine if he had obstacles to us. Imagine if he had lists of why he wouldn't engage with you. You know that list would be pretty long. And maybe I don't want to assume that on you. I know my list would be long. And imagine if God had to get all sorts of clarity and answer all sorts of questions of us. Like he would ask us questions maybe. And how about this? And how about that? And will you stop doing this in your language? Could we talk about that in your driving skills? And what if we did this? And your relationships and your TV watching and your habits on your phone. And then, okay, now let me go back and let me talk to the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, and we'll mingle a little bit. And then we'll come back and I'll let you know if you're in or not. We laugh, but sometimes we live that way, don't we? We feel that. I don't know how it got created, maybe by us in our minds or by other people, but that's kind of how we operate. When Jesus was asked, hey, what's the priority for you? What's the most important thing? This is what he said. He said, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and mind, and this is the first and greatest commandment, and the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. God starts with love. And God wants you to love him more than he wants you to understand him. God invites you to love him more than he wants you to understand him. Because once you love God, you will begin to understand God. And that's when you cross the line. That's when you say, today's my day. Because God wants to start with love. And when you start with love, in a relationship of love, you will begin to understand one another. And when you start with love and you begin to understand one another, things like what Jesus says about himself will begin to come quite clear to you. Like in John 14:6, Jesus says this about himself: I am the way, I am the truth, I am the life, and no one comes to the Father except through me. That there isn't a way in. There's not a payment that you can make. There's not a behavior that you have to be consistent in. There's not all of these things that you have to line up. There's not hoops that you have to jump through. The only way to find a loving relationship with God begins with Jesus. But notice it's a loving relationship and not a behavioral relationship. It's a relationship that starts in love that influences our behavior. God wants you to know him more than you know the answers to your questions. It doesn't mean that you don't have questions. But in relationship with him, you get your questions answered. And here's the thing. Don't you want that too? With those that you're friends with those that you're in relationship with those that you're married with. Hey, if you had kids, wouldn't it be weird if you gave birth to a son or gave birth to a daughter, and then they came out and they said, listen, I'm gonna do some research on you and figure out like what kind of person you are, and I'm gonna come back in about a week and I'm gonna let you know if you can be my dad or my mom. No, what happens is you immediately see your child, and what happens? Your heart melts, doesn't it? And you fall in love. And then you get to know each other in that loving relationship. Often, we see all relationships one way, and we see God's relationship another way. But we have to understand is that relationships are influenced by how God created us, and how we interact with each other is ultimately how we interact with God, because knowing happens in relationship. And that relationship begins with God giving you and extending you an invitation. He says this, Jesus himself says this, that I stand at the door and I knock. And if anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come in and eat with him and he with me. Let me ask you a question. Who do you eat with? You eat with people that you want to be in relationship with, right? Whether it be a business relationship or a friendship or a romantic relationship, you eat with those people. Why? Because you're wanting to get to know them. And you don't get to know them by distance. You get to know them by sitting down and beginning a relationship. And this is what God invites us to. Here are the people that I eat with. This is my family, this picture. I eat with them because I love them. I'm in relationship with them. And you and I have an opportunity to cross the line of faith and enter into a relationship with love that's defined by God and not by us. One writer, his name was Paul, defines that step across the line this way in a letter called Romans. He says, if you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. You confess. You're announcing, hey, let's go to dinner. Hey, let's begin this thing. You saw the words of Nathanael. You are the Son of God. You are the King of Israel. Yeah, I've got a lot of obstacles, but they are shrinking in light of you. And so I'm going to bring these things in with me. Jesus doesn't invite you to swallow the whole thing. Jesus invites you into his love and begin to learn about the whole thing. And that's why there are people that have made decisions to get baptized in this place. That's why there are people who have given their lives to Jesus in this place, because they've understood that their obstacles are shrinking in light of a great and magnificent and marvelous God. And so they confess, you are who you say that you are. And then it says, there's that believe word. Believe in your heart that God raised them from the dead. And what does it lead to? It leads to you will be saved. It's a salvation that you get. It's a rescue that you get. That you are no longer who you were, that you are what God created you to be. Because belief in something will lead to something. And this is where we have our opportunity to step across the line and say, today is my day. I mentioned two beliefs that are easy, and then of course the belief in Jesus that may be a little bit more difficult. Author Brene Brown, who's a great author, great writer, great speaker, she has a great quote where she says this, that some beliefs bring comfort. Like the first two that we talked about this morning. They bring comfort, don't they? They're fun. Some beliefs bring courage. Those are the ones where you risk. Those are the ones that you say yes to, and you know you have obstacles, but something happened where it's shrinking because what you're about to believe in is bigger than that. And she says, you can have comfort, or you can have courage, but you can't have both. So what about you? What about you? What does it look like for you to take a step across the line? I know you have valid obstacles. I know that you have valid reasons. But that doesn't keep you from being loved by an incredible God. I've been a follower of Jesus for over 30 years. I've been in ministry for 16. I have questions. I don't quite understand things. Like when a young lady in our community takes her own life, I ask, why is this happening? It breaks my heart. And it makes me think, like, what is going on? And what I found is that my why questions, there's never a great answer because it's never going to be emotionally satisfying. What I've discovered, and this is just me, is that I don't know what I would do without God in moments of deep pain. I don't know where I would be without God in moments of great tragedy. I don't know where I would be without God in moments where suffering is growing. Because He is my strength in those moments. He is my hope in those moments. He is my love in those moments. And that's why we've seen 574 people take the courageous step to get baptized at Active Church because they understand that their obstacles are not greater than the God that made them. And it doesn't mean that they won't have questions and they won't have issues and they won't have struggles. It just means that they now have someone, the greatest someone, to go through life with them and the life after life. So what about you? What does it look like for you to cross the line of faith today? What does it look like for you to say, today's my day? The writers of the Bible say, today is the day of salvation. Where you say that Jesus is Lord, that He died on a cross for my sins, that He resurrected from the grave, and that this life isn't all that there is. But in this life, I can live in a new way, and in love, and in grace, and in forgiveness, with a passion for Jesus. Would you stand for a moment together? we have some incredible activators that are going to be helping us this morning with baptism. And so I want to invite those activators who are helping to just move to the side over here to help with baptism. We also have people in the room that have signed up to get baptized. They're ready to go. And if that's you, just hang for a minute, because I want to talk to those that didn't. I want to talk to you for a moment, because I know that there's all sorts of obstacles, right? And now those obstacles may start to shrink because God suddenly isn't a category. God suddenly is personal. And maybe for you, you're thinking, oh man, I don't know if I'm ready for this. I live kind of wildly. I haven't read all of the Bible. Listen, me too. And all the people sitting around you, them too. This isn't about you being good. It's about God being good. This isn't about you fixing yourself. It's about God inviting you into a loving, redeeming, reconciled relationship. Maybe for you, you're saying, I didn't come planning on doing this, and so I didn't bring any clothes. We got you covered. We've got all sorts of shapes and sizes back there. We go from itty bitty to really big. And so we are ready for you. Maybe for you, you're like, I don't have family and friends that are here. We got you covered. We're taking photos. We have video. We're live streaming. Hi, we're live streaming right now. Send them a text message and say, log on to Facebook, go to the Active Church page and watch me take a step, because today is my day. Maybe you're afraid the makeup's gonna run and the hair is gonna be a mess and you have a meal afterwards. Hey, what a great story to be able to tell those that you're eating with and to be able to tell those that may be serving you what took place in your life today. Because here's what's true. It would be awful for God to change your life and have nobody know about it, wouldn't it? It'd be awful to have God stir your heart and change your heart and have nobody know about it. And it was in the fall of 1988 that I got baptized by a man named Bob Kreider, because my heart was stirred. And I'm so grateful for that day, because I understood that day and have began to understand in the days after that God is for me and not against me, and the same is true of you. So church, I know that there are those that didn't plan on this, but today's your day. The line's in the sand and you're ready to cross it. Let your beliefs not be about comfort, but I'm inviting you into beliefs that are defined by courage, because you're courageous, because you have a God who's for you. You have a God who's with you. And for those of you that have made these decisions, you know on days like this, it is not something that we just go, that's great, we're so proud. But this is a day, right? This is a day where we cheer and we celebrate. And so here's what I want to do. Here's what I want to do. I'm going to count to 3. And those that have signed up, we want to invite you to step out into the aisles and go see our activators. And for those that didn't come in here ready for it, but you know, today's your day. Today's your day. Today's your day. You know that you're ready to cross the line. When I get to 3, I want to invite you to step out, and we're going to cheer and we're going to celebrate. So 1, remember, you're moving from comfort to courage. And maybe you need to bring somebody with you. 2, if you're ready to step out, maybe you need to have a conversation with those that are around you, because you're about ready to step out. You need to take off your jewelry or take off whatever it is. You need to hand over your wallet or your purse and just let them know, today is my day. And so when I get to the final number, I want to invite you to step out. Are you ready? We're going to do this together. Church, let's begin to applause. 1, 2, 3. We want you to move. Choose courage. Choose confidence. Amen. Awesome. Awesome. Woo. Wow. Wow. Spidey sense going off? Anybody? Wow. So we're gonna be here. Hey, there's more. Wow. We're gonna sing a little bit, and in just a minute, we're gonna have people come out and get baptized. Church, this is what it's all about. This is why we're here. Thank you for being a part of this. Thank you for hanging out. We're gonna baptize in just a few minutes. James, would you lead us? Let's sing together. This is gonna be a great day, a great day.
Your love so deep is washing over me. Your face is all I see. You are my everything. Jesus Christ, you are my one desire. Lord, hear my only cry to know you all alive. Your love so deep is washing over me. Your face is all I see. You are my air. Come on, lift it up. Your love so deep is washing over me. Your face is all I see. You are my everything. Jesus Christ, you are my one desire. Lord, hear my only cry to know you all my life. Your love so deep. Come on, let's lift our voices. You are Lord, Jesus. You are light. We're gonna lift this up over every person. Your love so deep is washing over me. Your face is all I see. You are my everything. Jesus Christ, you are my one desire. Lord, hear my only cry to know you all. Your love so. You know, there's power in singing His name. Your love. Your love. Sing His name. Jesus. God, we pray new life today. Standing here in your presence, in the grace so relentless, I am won by perfect love. Wrapped within the arms of heaven, in a place that lasts forever, sinking deep in mercy, seal I'm wide awake, drawing closer by grace, and oh, my heart is yours. Sing it out, church. And all fear removed, breathe into oh, your love. Well, come on, let's celebrate this together. Sing When I'm Lost. When I'm lost, you pursue me. Lift my head to see your glory, Lord of all. So beautiful. master, captivated by the splendor of your face. My secret place, and I'm wide awake, drawing closer by grace, and all my heart is yours. I feel moved. I really let me lean into your love. Let's declare this in Jesus' name, in your life. Washing over me, your face is all I see. You are my everything. Jesus Christ, you are my one desire. Told you my only cry to know you all my life. Your love so deep is washing over me. Come on, church, let's lift up God this morning and celebrate in your life. Amen, amen. It's so good to be in this moment, amen. To see new life happening right before us. Oh, come on, church. We're going to declare this morning as we continue to celebrate. We're going to lift his name. Jesus Christ, you are my one desire. Lord, hear my only cry to know you all my life. Love so deep is washing over me. Your face is all I see. You are my everything. Jesus Christ, you are my one desire. Lord, hear my only Spirit, I will rise from the ashes of defeat. The resurrected King is resurrecting me. In your name I come alive to declare your victory. The resurrected King is resurrecting me. By your Spirit, I will rise from the ashes of defeat. The resurrected King is resurrecting me. In your name I come alive to declare your victory. Come on. The resurrected King is resurrecting me. By your Spirit I will rise from the ashes of defeat. The resurrected King is resurrecting me. In your name I come alive to declare your
good thing we spaced those out over the year because that's just like, whoa, right? That is so great. We saw 15 people get baptized in this service. Man, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for celebrating with us. We want to see you at First Step at 12:30, so come back and hang out with us. We love you, Active Church. Have a great rest of your Sunday. God bless you.